Have you ever felt like life is just a loop, repeating the same day over and over? Like you're stuck, not growing, not evolving, and not living up to your potential. You wake up, start your day, and it's the same routine, the same habits, the same mindset. You tell yourself you'll change someday, but that someday never arrives. But here's a shocking truth. You don't need a big life event, a new year, or a miracle to break free from that cycle. All you need is 1 hour. Just 1 hour a day can completely reshape your life, redefine your goals, your identity, and your purpose. It's not just about time, it's about creating the space for change. A daily practice of focus, discipline, and intention can rewire the way you think, act, and show up in the world. It's like planting a single seed that eventually grows into something unshakable, a new reality where you are the creator of your future, not a passive observer. In this audiobook, we'll walk you through the exact process of how dedicating just 1 hour a day to your own personal growth can lead to monumental transformation. It's time to step away from autopilot and take control of your life. Are you ready to rise above your old self and become who you were always meant to be? Chapter 1. Why 1 hour changes everything. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Change takes time. But what if the time you're missing isn't the time you think it is? What if the answer to breaking free from your old life isn't about doing more, but doing one thing more effectively? The key to personal transformation doesn't lie in grand gestures or giant leaps. It's in the power of small, consistent actions that shift your identity and mindset. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or ambition. No. They fail because they never create space for growth. Every day they wake up and repeat the same actions, the same thoughts, the same habits, and the same routines. And they wonder why they're still stuck. It's not because they don't have the potential to change. It's because their schedule is so packed that there's no room for change to take root. And that's where the magic of 1 hour comes in. 1 hour. That's all it takes to start. Imagine the profound shift that happens when you dedicate just 1 hour each day to working on yourself. 1 hour to stop responding to life's distractions and instead create the life you want. 1 hour to reclaim your focus, reclaim your clarity, and reclaim your future. This hour becomes more than just a block of time. It becomes a powerful commitment to yourself. It's a ritual, a space where you step out of autopilot and into your true potential. You've probably heard people talk about how they wish they could change, how they could improve, how they could become better versions of themselves. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. You can't change if you're constantly running on autopilot. The world will pull at you in every direction. It will demand your time, your attention, your energy. But what if, for just 1 hour, you stopped giving it away? What if, for 1 hour, you chose to focus on what matters most? It's not easy. Your old self will fight you. It will protest, it will distract you, and it will try to convince you that you don't have time, that it's too hard, or that this hour is not important enough. But here's the harsh reality. Your old self wants you to stay comfortable. Your old self wants to keep things predictable, safe, and the same. And the worst part, your old self will fight you not because you're weak, but because it doesn't want to lose its grip on you. Change is uncomfortable, yes. It's hard. But that's the only way to move forward. So how do you start? You start with that 1 hour. When you commit to giving yourself just 1 hour a day, you begin to break free from the shackles of your old life. You create space for new habits to form, You create space for your true potential to emerge. And as that hour becomes part of your daily routine, it starts to compound, growing stronger with every passing day. Think of it like building a wall brick by brick. The first brick seems insignificant. You could easily dismiss it as just one small thing. But over time, those small actions build up. The wall grows, brick by brick, and what once felt impossible becomes a reality. Each hour is like a brick that gets you one step closer to the life you're meant to live. By showing up for yourself for just 1 hour, you're setting the foundation for the person you want to become. You're creating momentum that will carry you forward, even on the days when you feel like quitting. Consistency is the key here. It's not about being extraordinary, it's about being consistent. And in the consistency of showing up, you begin to reshape your identity. This hour isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about choosing to show up, even when it feels difficult. It's about honoring this time with yourself as a sacred commitment, not a suggestion. Because the truth is, change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen 1 hour at a time. One decision, one action, one shift in your mindset at a time. So, if you're ready to start breaking free from your old habits, your old thoughts, and your old patterns, then it starts with that 1 hour. It starts with taking control of your time and making a commitment to yourself. And as you protect that hour, your entire life begins to shift. If you're ready to commit to your transformation, don't miss out on the next chapter of this audiobook. Stay tuned to learn how to cut distractions, reclaim your mind, and build an unshakable foundation for your future. Ready to rise? Keep listening. Chapter 2. Cutting distractions to reclaim your mind. We live in a world that's louder than ever before. Notifications, messages, emails, advertisements, everything demands your attention all at once. But here's the truth. The noise around you isn't the real problem. The real problem is what that noise is doing to your mind. It's pulling you away from your true self. It's drowning out your inner voice, and in doing so, it's taking away your power to create. Your mind is your greatest asset, but for most people, it has become the most neglected. It's constantly pulled in 1,000 different directions, rarely given the space to think deeply or to simply be present. But this is exactly why you're feeling stuck. You cannot rise above your old self while you're constantly distracted. You cannot move forward when your attention is scattered everywhere. To truly transform your life, the first thing you need to reclaim is your mind. It all starts with cutting the distractions that have been robbing you of your mental clarity. It's easy to blame the external world for your inability to focus. But the truth is, distractions don't just steal your time, they steal your sense of identity. They make you feel like a passenger in your own life, just reacting to whatever is happening around you, instead of directing your life with intention. They make you feel like you're doing a million things but achieving nothing. And when your mind is constantly fragmented, nothing meaningful can grow. So, how do you begin to reclaim your mind? It starts with setting boundaries. Boundaries aren't just for other people, they're for your mind too. You must create a mental boundary, a space of silence and intention where the world can't reach you. A space where you can finally hear your own thoughts again, where you can finally connect with your true desires, your goals, and your purpose. Imagine this. You walk into a room where everything is demanding your attention. The lights are flashing, voices are calling, objects are moving around. You can't focus. You can't think clearly. That's exactly what's happening in your mind every day when you're overwhelmed by distractions. And just like that room, your mind is a mess of open doors, each one pulling your attention in a different direction. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can close those doors. You can decide what gets access to your attention. You can choose silence, not because the world is evil or because it's easy, but because silence is essential for clarity. It's in silence that you can hear the whispers of your intuition. It's in silence that your mind begins to settle and your true direction starts to emerge. When you give yourself just 1 hour a day without distractions, something powerful happens. The fog lifts. Your thoughts begin to deepen. Your emotions settle. For the first time in a long time, you experience a sense of inner peace, and you finally feel connected to yourself again. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Silence is uncomfortable at first. When you remove the distractions, you meet yourself. You meet the thoughts you've been avoiding. You meet the feelings you've been running from. You meet the questions that you've been suppressing. And this is where most people falter. They avoid the silence because it forces them to confront the truth they've been ignoring. But you're not here to hide. You're here to rise. The first step in reclaiming your mind is to choose what does not get access to your attention. You must choose what deserves your energy, your focus, and your time. And when you start to make that choice, you will notice something incredible. Your mind begins to remember what clarity feels like. It remembers what focus feels like. It remembers what purpose feels like. You start to feel more present, more alive, and more yourself. The world may not understand why you've chosen to disconnect for 1 hour a day, but your future will thank you for it. You will begin to make better decisions, have more energy, and feel more aligned with your goals. The noise of the world will no longer control your thoughts, your actions, or your life. When you make the decision to cut distractions, you aren't isolating yourself. You're liberating yourself. You're giving yourself the space to think deeply, to feel what's truly inside you, and to rise above the chaos. This hour of focus becomes a sanctuary. It becomes a place where you rebuild your mental strength, one thought at a time. It's where you reconnect with your purpose, rediscover your passion, and create a life that isn't ruled by distractions but by intention. Now you may be thinking, that sounds great, but how do I stay consistent with this practice? That's exactly what we'll dive into in the next chapter. If you're enjoying this audiobook and are ready to cut distractions from your life, stay tuned for the next chapter, where we'll dive deeper into how to win your mornings, win your identity, and begin each day with intention. Don't miss it. Chapter 3. Win your morning, win your identity. Your morning holds the key to your day. It is the first window through which you enter your world, and the decisions you make in those first moments set the tone for everything that follows. If you allow the chaos of the world to hijack your first hour, you'll spend the rest of the day scrambling to catch up, reacting instead of leading, living in a constant state of overwhelm. But when you claim your morning, you take control of your day, and more importantly, you take control of your identity. The truth is, how you begin your day determines how you show up in the world. Most people wake up already behind, already pulled into the noise of the world before they even take a single breath for themselves. Their minds are hijacked by messages, emails, notifications, and the constant demands of others. By the time they've had their first cup of coffee, their day is already decided for them. But you don't have to live that way. If you want to create a life of purpose, clarity, and intention, you must take back your mornings. The first hour of your day is sacred. It is the moment you decide who you are going to be for the rest of the day. It is where you make your choice. Will you rise to the challenges ahead, or will you surrender to the chaos around you? When you win your morning, everything changes. Your clarity sharpens, your focus intensifies, your energy stabilizes, your emotions become more grounded. It's not about having a perfect routine or checking off a to-do list. It's about presence. It's about starting the day in a way that centers you, that puts you in touch with your true self before the world starts asking for pieces of you. Most people let their mornings slip away, not realizing that this is the most important part of their day. They start their day with distractions, checking their phone, scrolling through social media, reading emails, reacting to the opinions of others. But in doing so, they hand over their power. They give away their focus, their energy, their sense of purpose to things that don't serve them. And the result? A chaotic day, a distracted mind, and a life that feels out of control. You need to take back your morning, not for the sake of having a perfect routine, but because it's the foundation of who you will be that day. Every choice you make in the first hour of your day sends a message to your mind and body about who you are and what matters to you. If your first act is one of intention, of stillness, of clarity, your identity begins to shift. You begin to see yourself as someone who leads their day, not someone who is led by it. Imagine waking up and having that first hour to yourself. No rush, no panic, no external pressures. Just you, your breath, and your intentions for the day. You begin your morning with calmness, with a sense of purpose, with direction. This simple act of ownership gives you power. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're leading it. Here's the key. The morning isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are becoming. The person who wins their morning is the person who leads with purpose, who shows up with clarity, and who makes decisions with intention. The morning is your message to the world and to yourself about what matters. It's where your identity begins to take shape. If you start the day on your terms, you're telling your mind, "This is who I am. I choose discipline over distraction. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose to show up, to lead, and to live with intention." And when you choose intention, your life begins to align with that choice. Every decision, every action, every moment begins to reflect that identity. Now I know what you might be thinking. I'm not a morning person. It's okay. The point is to create space for yourself before the world starts asking for your attention. It's about taking ownership of that first hour, even if that means starting small. It's about being intentional, about giving yourself time to breathe, to reflect, and to set the tone for the day. What you do in the first hour is what shapes your identity for the rest of the day. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something with purpose. And when you show up for that first hour consistently, your entire life begins to change. So, what does it look like to win your morning? It's about slowing down. It's about taking a deep breath and saying, "This time is mine. This hour belongs to me." Whether it's journaling, meditating, stretching, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts, you're reclaiming that hour for yourself. You're not reacting to life. You're setting the stage for what you want to create. When you win your morning, you begin to feel more in control, more present, and more aligned with your goals. You start the day with a sense of purpose, not urgency. You create a space where your focus is sharp, Your energy is grounded and your mind is clear. And here's the most powerful part. When you start winning your morning, you begin to see a change in yourself. You begin to show up as a different version of you, the version who leads, who creates, who takes ownership. And that version of you is unstoppable. If you're ready to take control of your mornings and step into a more intentional, purpose-driven life, stay tuned for the next chapter where we'll explore how deep focus can become your superpower in a distracted world. Don't miss it. Chapter 4. Deep Focus, Building Mental Strength in a World Where Distractions Are as Constant as the Air We Breathe. Deep focus has become one of the rarest and most powerful abilities you can develop. It's not something you're born with, but something you cultivate through intention, practice, and a commitment to blocking out the noise. Most people live in a state of perpetual interruption, constantly jumping from one thought, task, or notification to the next. Their attention is scattered, their mental energy is drained, and their potential is left untapped. But deep focus, when mastered, can allow you to accomplish in 1 hour what others struggle to do in a week. It can turn a scattered mind into a powerhouse of creativity and achievement. And it all starts with the decision to commit to focus, without distractions. In our modern world, attention is constantly under siege. We're bombarded by notifications, messages, and emails. Every few minutes, something pulls our mind in a new direction. And this scattered focus has a cost. When your attention is fragmented, you're not able to go deep. You can't concentrate fully on any one thing. The result? Shallow work, mediocre outcomes, and an overwhelming sense that you're always running behind. But here's the secret. Mental strength isn't built by forcing yourself to do more. It's built by learning to do less, but to do it with deep, uninterrupted focus. Deep focus isn't about hustling harder or multitasking. It's about choosing to immerse yourself fully in one thing, blocking out everything else, and giving your complete attention to the task at hand. Think of it like this. Imagine a beam of light. When it's scattered, it illuminates a broad area. But when you concentrate that light, it becomes a laser capable of cutting through steel. Your mind works the same way. Scattered attention creates awareness, but focused attention creates transformation. It's in that concentration that you unlock your deepest potential. The problem for most people is that deep focus feels uncomfortable at first. Our brains have been conditioned to seek constant stimulation, and focusing deeply on one thing for an extended period can feel like a struggle. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Just like building muscle in the gym, the more you train your brain to focus, the stronger your mental endurance becomes. And that strength will serve you in every area of your life. But deep focus doesn't just happen by accident. It's a skill you have to develop intentionally, and it requires the right environment. A cluttered, chaotic environment will keep your mind distracted. To create deep focus, you must first create a space that supports it, physically and mentally. Clean up your workspace. Eliminate distractions. Turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and set the stage for your mind to concentrate. Your environment must reflect your intention to focus. If your space is cluttered, your mind will be cluttered. But environment alone isn't enough. You must also train your mind to embrace focus. Your brain needs to learn that concentration is safe, that intensity doesn't equate to stress, and that staying with a single task won't overwhelm you. The world praises multitasking, But true mastery comes from the opposite. Mastery comes from immersion. It comes from doing one thing at a time and giving it your full, undivided attention. When you learn to concentrate, you tap into an extraordinary power. You stop bouncing from task to task and instead, you immerse yourself completely in one project, one idea, or one goal. The result is mastery. Now you might be thinking, but it's so hard to stay focused. My mind just wants to jump to something else. That's normal. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will try to distract you. It will remind you of everything else you should be doing. But here's the key. The resistance is where the growth happens. It's in those moments when your mind wants to wander but you choose to stay that you build mental strength. It's not about forcing yourself to focus perfectly every time. It's about choosing to stay even when it feels uncomfortable. It's about training your mind to resist distractions, to choose depth over speed, and to embrace intensity without panic. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay in that flow state where time stretches and you feel like you could accomplish anything. Deep focus also requires patience. It's not about working harder, faster, or longer. It's about being patient enough to stay with something long enough for it to transform you. Deep focus isn't always about seeing instant results. Sometimes, the real transformation happens quietly beneath the surface, where your thoughts deepen, your skills sharpen, and your identity evolves. And here's the most exciting part. Deep focus isn't just about productivity, it's about your identity. The more you focus, the more you strengthen the part of you that is disciplined, intentional, and capable of achieving big things. Every time you choose to stay focused, you're building your identity as someone who doesn't give up easily, who doesn't get distracted by shiny objects, who commits to mastering the task at hand. When you learn to stay focused, you unlock a whole new level of potential. You stop letting the world dictate your attention. You stop reacting to every notification, every demand, every interruption. Instead, you take ownership of your time, your energy, and your mind. You become someone who is unstoppable, not because you never get distracted, but because you choose to refocus every time you do. Deep focus requires commitment. It's about being intentional with your attention and making it a priority. It's about resisting the urge to give in to the distractions that are constantly vying for your attention. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Your brain will start to adapt. Your focus will become stronger, and over time, your capacity to stay focused will multiply. But the journey doesn't stop there. As you build your mental strength, you'll start to experience a shift. What once felt hard or uncomfortable will become second nature. You'll begin to see the world differently. You'll approach your work, your relationships, and your life with a new level of clarity, energy, and purpose. So, if you're ready to build the mental strength that will allow you to rise above distractions and achieve your full potential, it starts with committing to deep focus. It starts with creating an environment that supports your focus, with learning to stay even when your mind resists, and with practicing patience as you build your mental endurance. If you're ready to learn how to create a deep focus that drives massive change, stay tuned for the next chapter where we'll explore how to break the old mental patterns that have been holding you back. It's time to reshape your identity and reclaim your power. Chapter 5. Break the old mental patterns. Have you ever felt like you're trapped in the same cycle, repeating the same habits, thinking the same thoughts, and reacting in the same way, even though you desperately want to break free. It's a familiar feeling, and it all boils down to one thing: mental patterns. These patterns aren't just thoughts. They are the invisible framework that shapes your identity, your behavior, and your life. They're like the software running in the background of your mind, guiding every decision and every action without you even realizing it. But here's the harsh truth. As long as you stay stuck in these old patterns, you'll never rise above the person you were yesterday. These patterns are what keep you locked in place, playing out the same old scripts over and over again. You'll find yourself repeating the same mistakes, facing the same struggles, and wondering why things never seem to change. But the moment you recognize these patterns for what they are, you unlock the power to break free. You see, your old patterns were designed for survival. They were built during times when you needed to protect yourself, stay safe, or avoid discomfort. But here's the thing: survival isn't the same as growth. The habits, thoughts, and behaviors that kept you safe in the past are no longer serving you, they're limiting you. And until you break free from them, you'll keep living inside the limits they've set for you. The first step in breaking these patterns is awareness. You can't change something you don't even know exists. The key to unlocking your potential is recognizing that these patterns are not you. They're just habits you've learned over time. Once you see them for what they are, you can start to make different choices. The moment you realize that your thoughts and reactions don't define you, you create the space to choose a different path. It's important to understand that breaking old mental patterns isn't a quick fix. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a process. You'll find yourself slipping back into old habits, and that's okay. The key is to notice when it happens, to pause, and to consciously choose a new direction. Every time you break free from an old pattern, you're strengthening your new identity. Every time you make a choice that aligns with the person you want to become, you're rewriting your story. Think of it like this. Your old self is like a road you've been traveling for years. It's familiar, well-worn, and comfortable. But if you want to go somewhere new, you can't keep driving down the same road. You need to build a new path. This is where breaking old patterns comes in. It's about stepping off the familiar path and choosing a new one. At first, that new road will feel uncomfortable, uncharted, and uncertain. But the more you walk it, the easier it becomes to stay on it. One of the most powerful ways to break old patterns is by choosing actions that contradict the old version of yourself. For example, if you've always reacted to stress by procrastinating, try choosing action instead. If you've always avoided difficult conversations, choose to lean into them. It's in these moments of discomfort that growth happens. It's in these moments that your new self is being built. Another key to breaking old patterns is understanding that change often feels uncomfortable. When you start doing things differently, your mind will resist. It will try to convince you that you're making a mistake. It will tell you that you're not capable, that you'll fail, that it's easier to go back to the way things were. But this resistance is a sign that you're on the right track. It's a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone and doing something different. But here's the good news. The discomfort doesn't last forever. As you continue to make new choices, those old patterns will lose their grip on you. The more you choose the new version of yourself, the more natural it will feel. Eventually, the old patterns will fade into the background, and your new identity will take center stage. Breaking old mental patterns isn't about erasing who you've been. It's about giving yourself permission to evolve. It's about acknowledging that the person you were yesterday doesn't have to define who you become today. Every time you choose a new action, thought, or behavior, you're telling yourself, I am no longer who I used to be. And that's how change happens. Slowly, quietly, and consistently. At first, the shifts may seem small. You may not see the immediate results of your efforts, but don't be discouraged. The process of breaking old patterns is like planting a seed. You don't see the roots growing beneath the surface, but over time, they start to take hold. Eventually, those roots will turn into something powerful and transformative. The key to breaking old patterns is to make it a daily practice. You don't need to completely overhaul your life in one day. Instead, focus on the small shifts, the small actions, the small decisions that over time add up to massive transformation. For example, let's say you've always struggled with negative self-talk. Every time you make a mistake, you beat yourself up. But one day you decide to try something different. You choose to acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and move on. At first, it feels awkward, but the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Slowly, your old pattern of self-criticism starts to fade, and you begin to adopt a new, healthier mindset. This process of breaking old patterns can be uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly empowering. The more you break free from the old version of yourself, the more you step into your true potential. The more you honor the person you're becoming, the more that person will emerge. So, how do you begin? Start by noticing the patterns that are holding you back. Start by recognizing the thoughts, habits, and behaviors that are keeping you stuck. Once you become aware of them, you can begin to make different choices. Every time. And remember, growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small victories and keep showing up for the person you're becoming. Over time, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. The person you used to be will feel like a distant memory, and the new version of yourself will be stronger, more confident, and unstoppable. As you continue this journey of breaking old patterns and stepping into your new identity, keep in mind that you have the power to reshape your life, one choice at a time. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where we'll dive into the power of discipline, how doing the hard work, even when no one's watching, builds the character and strength you need to rise above your old self. Chapter 6. Discipline, when no one is watching. Discipline. It's one of those words that sounds simple, yet so many of us struggle to really understand and embody it in our lives. We hear about it all the time. You need more discipline. Discipline is the key to success. But what does that really mean, especially when no one is watching? Let's be honest. It's easy to stay disciplined when there's an audience, when there's someone to applaud your efforts, when there's external pressure pushing you to keep going. But the true measure of discipline comes when no one is watching. It's when you're alone with your thoughts, alone with your choices, and alone with your habits. It's in those quiet, unseen moments that the foundation for everything you want to achieve is built. Think about it. When you show up day after day with no applause, no validation, and no recognition, you're building something far more valuable than just success. You're building integrity. You're building trust with yourself. You're proving that you are someone who honors their word, especially when no one is around to see it. And that's when discipline becomes not just a habit, but a way of life. Discipline is the force that transforms your life in ways that motivation never could. Motivation is fleeting. It's that burst of energy we get when we're excited about something new. But motivation fades. It disappears when things get tough, when life gets busy, when distractions pull us in 1,000 directions. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. It's the quiet force that keeps you going even when motivation is nowhere to be found. What's more, discipline isn't something that's built overnight. It's a slow and steady process. You don't wake up one day and suddenly have an unshakable discipline. You build it piece by piece, action by action. And it all starts with one simple truth. You rise not because of one huge effort, but because of countless small efforts repeated consistently over time. Imagine you're working on a project, and there's no one around to keep you on track. It's easy to procrastinate, to put it off for just a little while, because there's no immediate consequence. But discipline is the ability to keep going when no one else is watching. It's about honoring your commitment to yourself, even when no one else knows about it. It's about doing the work, day in and day out, without needing anyone to hold you accountable. This is where the real magic of discipline happens, in the quiet, unnoticed moments. It's when you commit to doing something, even the smallest task, because it aligns with your values, with the person you want to become. No applause, no external validation, just you showing up for yourself. And guess what? That's when you build the true confidence that lasts. Confidence isn't built on external praise. It's built on the quiet knowledge that you can rely on yourself to do what you say you'll do. Confidence is earned when you trust yourself to follow through, even when no one else is watching. It's earned when you consistently take small steps, even when no one else notices. This is what makes discipline such a powerful force. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. It shapes your identity from the inside out. Every time you commit to something, even when no one is watching, you're reinforcing your self-image as someone who follows through. And that self-image becomes the foundation for everything you do in the future. But let's face it, discipline isn't always easy. There are days when you don't feel like showing up. There are days when you'd rather give in to distractions, take the easy route, or just give up altogether. But here's the thing. It's on those days that discipline is most important. It's on those days that you're forging the strength and resilience that will carry you through the rest of your life. When you choose discipline over comfort, you're telling your mind that you're in control. You're reminding yourself that you don't need external validation to stay the course. You're choosing your future self over your present desires. And over time, those small, seemingly insignificant choices add up. They build momentum. They create a pattern of behavior that becomes second nature. It's also important to remember that discipline doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that you'll always get it right. There will be days when you fall off track, when you miss a step, when things don't go according to plan. But the key is not in avoiding failure, it's in getting back up. It's in showing up again, even when it feels hard, even when you feel like giving up. This is why discipline is such a powerful tool for growth. It teaches you that failure isn't the end. It's just a part of the process. Every time you fail and get back on track, you reinforce the belief that you can handle anything that comes your way. You prove to yourself that you are capable, strong, and resilient. So how do you develop this kind of discipline? It starts with small, consistent actions. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. It's about building a habit of doing what you say you'll do, regardless of how you feel. It's about committing to the process, not just the outcome. And most importantly, it's about honoring yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And here's the kicker. As you continue to practice discipline, you'll notice something amazing happening. You'll start to trust yourself more. You'll start to believe in your own ability to follow through. You'll start to believe that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. And that confidence will carry you further than you could ever imagine. In the end, discipline is not just about what you do, it's about who you become. Every action you take, every choice you make, every time you commit to something without needing applause, you are building the person you want to be. And that person, they're unstoppable. Now that you understand the power of discipline, you're ready to take on the next challenge, learning how to focus deeply and harness that focus to create massive change. Stick with us as we dive into Chapter 7, where we'll explore how deep focus can build the mental strength you need to stay on track, even when life throws distractions your way. Chapter 7. Small actions, massive transformation. The world loves a good transformation story. The kind where someone completely changes their life, all at once, in a dramatic moment of breakthrough. We're constantly bombarded with these instant success stories, where someone goes from zero to hero in a single step. The problem with these stories, they're not entirely true. Real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come from a single decision or a major event. Real change is made up of small, consistent actions that, over time, add up to something massive. It's the compound effect of tiny, daily decisions that eventually lead you to a life you didn't even know was possible. And guess what? This is the kind of change you can build right now, starting with something as simple as 1 hour a day. Small actions feel insignificant. 1 hour doesn't seem like much. But here's the truth. That 1 hour is everything. It's the key that unlocks the door to your new life. When you commit to taking small actions every day, you begin to build a foundation for transformation. It's the quiet consistency that, over time, will make the biggest difference in your life. Think about it. The person you are today is the result of the small actions you took yesterday, last week, and last year. You didn't just wake up this way. You didn't just happen to be the person you are. You got here through repetition. You got here by making small, consistent choices day in and day out. And now, you have the power to change your future in the exact same way. But there's a catch. Small actions don't always feel powerful. They don't give you the same rush as a big, dramatic change. They don't get the applause or the recognition. In fact, they often go unnoticed by others and sometimes even by yourself. But that's where most people get it wrong. They give up on small actions too soon because they don't see the results immediately. They want instant change. But here's the thing about small actions. They don't show their true power right away. They work in the background, slowly but surely, building momentum. Transformation happens gradually. Every small action you take, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is a building block. Each choice you make, each hour you dedicate is planting a seed. And those seeds will eventually grow into something powerful. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but eventually, you will look back and see how far you've come. For example, imagine you're trying to get healthier. If you think about it in terms of grand, dramatic changes, it can feel overwhelming. But if you start with just a small action, like eating one healthy meal a day or walking for 15 minutes every morning, those actions add up. And over time, they lead to real, sustainable change. It's the small actions, repeated day after day, that transform your body, your habits, and ultimately your life. This is the power of consistency. Small actions, repeated consistently, eventually compound into massive results. And the best part, these actions are sustainable. They don't require you to change everything all at once. They don't require perfection. They just require consistency. This is why the hour you dedicate to yourself each day is so important. It's that one small action that sets the tone for everything else. When you make that hour a non-negotiable part of your day, you're building the habit of consistency. And once that habit is in place, it becomes easier to continue. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe in your ability to show up even when it's hard. You start to see the power in small, everyday choices. But here's the trick. You have to embrace the process. You have to be okay with the fact that transformation won't happen overnight. You have to be okay with the fact that results may take time. The magic happens in the small steps you take every day. It's the compound effect of those steps that leads to the breakthrough moment. Remember, real transformation is built on small actions, done consistently over time. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to start. It's about starting now with what you have and committing to the process. Every time you show up, you're building momentum. Every time you take one small step, you're moving closer to your goal. And eventually, all those small steps will add up to something big. Small actions lead to big results. It's the secret to lasting change. And the best part, it's within your control. You can start today with just 1 hour. You can begin building the life you want by committing to small, consistent actions. And over time, those actions will lead you to the transformation you've been waiting for. Now that you've understood the importance of small, consistent actions, it's time to take the next step, developing deep focus. In Chapter 8, we'll dive into how deep focus can help you sharpen your mind, eliminate distractions, and take your consistency to the next level. Chapter 8. Rise above your old self. There comes a time in every person's life when they can no longer continue living as they have been. A time when the version of themselves that has been holding them back, the person they've known for so long, can no longer stay on the path they are walking. This is when the change you've been yearning for becomes not just a possibility, but a necessity. This is the moment when you must rise above your old self. Your old self is not your enemy, but it is the version of you that's been trying to protect you from the discomfort of change. The person who kept you safe, predictable, and comfortable, even when that comfort wasn't serving your higher purpose. The person who clung to old patterns, old fears, and old habits because they were familiar. But growth never happens in the familiar, and you can't move forward if you're still clinging to the past. To rise above your old self, you must first recognize the need for change. And that starts with acknowledging that who you were, the identity you carried up until now, no longer fits the life you want to create. It's too small. It's too limiting. And the truth is, your old self cannot take you where you need to go. It's not that your old self is bad. It's that it's no longer enough. And that realization, while difficult, is incredibly empowering. Think of it like this. When you're walking through life, your old self is like an anchor. It's heavy, it's familiar, but it's holding you back from moving forward. And to rise, to become the person you're meant to be, you have to lift that anchor. You have to let go of the fears, doubts, and beliefs that have been keeping you stuck. But letting go isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It feels like you're stepping into unknown territory, and it's natural for the old version of yourself to fight back. The old habits, the old stories, they will try to pull you back to where you were. They'll tell you that it's safer to stay where you are. They'll whisper that you've always been this way, that this is who you are, and that you can't change. But here's the truth. Those stories are lies. You are not bound by the version of yourself you've been holding on to. You are not a prisoner to your past. You are the creator of your future, and you have the power to rise above the person you once were. Rising above your old self isn't about erasing the past. It's about outgrowing it. It's about making the conscious decision to let go of what's holding you back so that you can step into the new version of yourself. The version that's waiting for you, just on the other side of discomfort. This is the moment when you start making decisions that align with who you want to be, not who you've been. It's about choosing actions that push you forward, even when your old self tells you to stay still. It's about showing up for yourself, even when the path is uncertain and the old version of you doesn't know how to handle it. But here's the beauty of it. Every time you make a decision that's in alignment with your future self, you break free from the past. You shed the old skin, and you begin to grow into a new version of yourself. A version that is stronger, more resilient, and capable of handling whatever life throws at you. This doesn't happen overnight. Transformation is a gradual process. It happens through small, intentional steps. Each decision, each action, each hour you commit to your growth. It's in the moments when you choose discipline over distraction, clarity over confusion, and growth over comfort. These moments, although small in the grand scheme of things, compound over time to create something massive. The more you rise above your old self, the more you step into the life you were always meant to live. You stop waiting for permission. You stop reacting to the world around you. And you start creating the life you want based on the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. But there will be challenges. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when the old stories and old patterns resurface. But in those moments, remind yourself that you are not who you used to be. You are who you are choosing to become. And with each step, each choice, each hour you dedicate to your growth, you are proving to yourself that you have the power to create the life you want. To rise above your old self is to break free from the chains that once bound you. It's to step into your full potential, to embrace your power, and to take ownership of your future. You don't need a miracle to make it happen. You just need the courage to let go of what's holding you back and the discipline to stay the course. And when you look back, you'll see that the person you were is a distant memory, replaced by the person you've become, the person who has risen above it all. Are you ready to rise above your old self and step into your full potential? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the power of relentless consistency and how you can build the habits that will carry you forward, no matter what. Stay tuned for Chapter 9. Chapter 9. Build relentless consistency. Consistency is a quiet power. It's not flashy. It's not filled with dramatic moments, but it is the most reliable force in shaping your future. The difference between people who see their dreams come to life and those who continue to chase them is consistency. Most people fail, not because they lack talent, motivation, or ambition, but because they struggle to sustain their efforts long enough for the changes to take root. They start strong, but when the initial excitement fades, so does their commitment. They rely on bursts of energy to get things done, but eventually that energy dies down, leaving them back at square one. The truth is, consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up day after day, regardless of how you feel or what external circumstances may be. It's about making that commitment to yourself and sticking to it, no matter what. Here's a secret most people overlook. It's not the big, dramatic actions that change your life. It's the small, everyday choices made consistently over time. The magic happens in the mundane, in the quiet repetition that others don't see. But that's where the transformation happens. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented or the most brilliant. They're the ones who kept going when everyone else stopped. Consistency is not about instant gratification. It's about patience. It's about building a life that doesn't fall apart when motivation fades or when things get hard. It's about trusting the process, even when you can't see immediate results. Because here's the thing, results don't come from one moment of greatness. They come from the steady, consistent work you put in, day after day, week after week. Think about it. A single action might seem small. A single step may seem insignificant. But if you repeat that action every day, it compounds. Slowly, what felt insignificant becomes a foundation. What once felt small becomes part of something much bigger. 1 hour a day, one decision, one small step forward every single day. These actions will eventually become part of who you are. They'll become so ingrained in your daily routine that they will no longer feel like decisions. They will become habits. And when habits form, you've created a powerful cycle of progress that's unstoppable. The biggest mistake most people make is expecting immediate results. They want to see change right away. But the reality is, change takes time, and it takes consistent effort. It's not about how much you do, but how much you do consistently. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about being disciplined when the world around you is full of distractions. Building consistency requires understanding that success isn't a straight line. It's not about always being perfect or always being at your best. It's about the ability to get back up, to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. It's about honoring your commitment to yourself, even when the world is pulling you in different directions. There will be days when it's hard to stay consistent. There will be times when you feel like giving up, when everything feels like too much. But it's in those moments that consistency becomes a powerful force. It's in those moments that you show yourself just how capable you are. And it's in those moments that you'll see the most growth. Consistency also means not giving up on yourself when things don't go perfectly. The days you feel weak, the moments you feel like quitting, that's when consistency counts the most. It's easy to stay on track when everything is going well, but true character is built when you keep going when things are tough. Think of consistency like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you show up, the easier it becomes. And just like a muscle, consistency needs to be trained. It doesn't happen overnight, but with every day you commit to, with every choice you make, you're building that muscle. Over time, it becomes stronger. It becomes something that supports you, even when life gets tough. The greatest part about building consistency is that it doesn't require you to be perfect. In fact, perfection is the enemy of progress. It's better to do something every day, even if it's small, than to wait for the perfect moment to do everything perfectly. Consistency is built on progress, not perfection. It's built on effort, not flawless execution. When you make consistency a habit, you're not just working towards your goals. You're becoming the person who achieves those goals. You're reshaping your identity with every action you take. You're creating a new version of yourself, one who is reliable, disciplined, and committed to their growth. But remember, consistency is a choice. You're not waiting for the perfect circumstances. You're not waiting for motivation to hit. You're choosing consistency every day, no matter what. And over time, that choice will lead to remarkable results. The real key to success isn't about having a huge burst of motivation. It's about what you do when that motivation fades. It's about building a life where you no longer rely on motivation to get things done. Instead, you rely on your commitment. You rely on your consistency. And eventually, when you look back, you'll realize that the small, consistent actions you took every day have built a life you couldn't have imagined. You'll have transformed your habits, your identity, and your life, all because you chose consistency. Now that you understand the power of consistency, you're ready to take your transformation to the next level. In the next chapter, we'll explore how you can harness the power of responsibility to become unstoppable. Stay tuned for Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Become unstoppable through responsibility. What if I told you that the key to unlocking your true potential wasn't some secret motivation or hidden talent, but something you already have within you? It's something so powerful that when you fully embrace it, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not obstacles, can hold you back. That key is responsibility. At first glance, responsibility may seem like a burden. It can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But in truth, responsibility is your freedom. It's the moment you take full ownership of your life and stop waiting for the world to give you permission to rise. It's about taking control of your future, your growth, and your decisions. And the moment you do that, you realize something powerful. You are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. For most people, the trap is easy to fall into. They wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, the right opportunities. But here's the harsh truth. Waiting does nothing. It's a prison disguised as patience. You're not going to change because you're waiting for the right time. You're going to change when you decide to take full responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your life. Responsibility is about stepping out of the victim mindset. It's about realizing that your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. It's about owning up to your mistakes, owning up to your choices, and saying, "This is my life and I'm in control." Once you embrace responsibility, everything changes. You stop blaming external circumstances for where you are in life. You stop waiting for someone to give you a chance. You stop holding onto excuses. You take the power back. The power to create, to act, to build the life you've always dreamed of. You may be wondering, what about all the things that are out of my control? What about the setbacks, the challenges, the failures? It's true. There are things in life that we can't control. But here's the thing. You can control how you respond to them. You can control how you learn from them. You can control how you rise after each setback. And that, my friend, is what makes you unstoppable. The moment you stop blaming and start taking ownership, everything shifts. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances. You become the creator of your life. Your growth is no longer dependent on luck or timing. It's dependent on your decisions. And the more you take responsibility, the more empowered you become. But here's the catch. Responsibility requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires you to acknowledge that you are capable of more than you've been giving yourself credit for. It requires you to admit that the habits, beliefs, and patterns you've been holding on to are the very things that have been holding you back. And that can be a hard pill to swallow. However, it's also incredibly liberating. Because when you realize that you are the one who has created the life you're living, you also realize that you have the power to create something different. You are not bound by your past. You are not defined by the mistakes you've made. You are not your failures. You are not your setbacks. You are simply the person who has the power to change the course of their future. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for the world to give you a reason to rise. You stop waiting for motivation to show up. You stop waiting for everything to be perfect. You rise because you understand that your future is in your hands. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your willingness to take responsibility for it. This is the point where most people fall short. They wait for things to change, but the truth is, change doesn't happen unless you make it happen. Change happens when you decide to show up, even when it's hard. Change happens when you choose to do the work, even when no one is watching. Change happens when you take ownership of your actions and your growth. Here's the powerful part. When you take responsibility, you stop looking for external validation. You stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're on the right track. You stop needing approval from others. Instead, you start looking within yourself for the validation you've been seeking. You start trusting yourself, and that's where the magic happens. Taking responsibility means understanding that your choices create your reality. Your habits, your thoughts, your actions, they all come from the choices you make every single day. And when you start taking full responsibility for those choices, you begin to create a life that reflects the person you want to become. It's time to stop making excuses. It's time to stop blaming your past. It's time to stop holding onto the stories that have kept you small. Your old self may want to stay in its comfort zone, but your new self is calling you to rise, to let go of the excuses and take ownership of the person you want to be. The most powerful people in the world are the ones who take full responsibility for their lives, even when it's hard. They don't wait for the world to give them a chance. They create their own chances. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create their own motivation, and they don't let challenges stop them. They rise through them. If you want to become unstoppable, the first step is to embrace responsibility. Own your life, own your choices, own your growth. The moment you take responsibility, you stop being at the mercy of life. You become the creator of it. Responsibility is the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of your growth. It's the foundation of your confidence. It's the foundation of your success. And it's what will allow you to rise above every version of yourself that has kept you small. Now that you've learned the